Welcome to NarrativeNook where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Kenneth was watching the news. He didn't expect his daughter and son's concert had taken the local community by storm, and he couldn't help but overhear the conversation between Betty and his wife moments earlier. He turned to his wife. "Did Serena get up early to make us breakfast and catch a cold in the process? You didn't notice? We sent her next door to reflect on her behavior, and she's been busy flipping between cooking and writing letters. After finding they don't work, now she claims she's caught a cold." Kenneth was a bit taken aback. "Are you suggesting she's faking it? But hasn't Dr. Osmond checked? Perhaps we should ask him." "No need for that. If Serena's set on being sick, she'll cover her tracks well." "So you're saying she's playing the martyr? Pretending to be sick just to get our attention?" Louisa paused from her nightly skincare routine and stood up, moving toward the bed. "It certainly appears that way. Let's see what her next move is." Louisa had hoped for genuine reflection from Serena, but it seemed all she was plotting was how to return to the main house. Influenced by Martha, no doubt. Even in this bitter cold, the girl had the audacity to risk her own health. If she didn't spare herself, who else would she spare in the future? Serena had shed plenty of tears in front of Betty. Now, as she waited for quite a prolonged time, no one came to check on her. It was only after a while that Betty sent her a message. Louisa had been informed of Serena's condition but had no intention of visiting. She even thought Betty was officiousness as a mere servant. Serena's heart grew colder with each passing moment. She couldn't believe it. Not breakfast, nor letters, nor even a fever could sway her parents. They had changed, their hearts turned stone cold. She screenshot Betty's message and sent it to Martha, saying, "I wore just a thin blouse and froze for 5 hours in the courtyard, hoping to move them. But it seems they have no place for me in their hearts anymore." Martha was stunned by the message. Under normal circumstances, Serena's parents would have been at her bedside at the first hint of illness, showering her with love and comfort. It was impossible, they just standing by. New Year is few days away. Before Mom and Dad would call the designer over to tailor new outfits for the whole family. But till now, there hasn't been any news. Normally around this time, the designer had already come to their house, because during the new year, a lot of relatives would pay them a visit. Serena would change up to 9 times a day, but now, she wasn't even sure if she could wear one for New Year. In the previous time, her outfits were always able to impress all the people present, the envy of friends and family. Just thinking about the scene would make her gloat in satisfaction. But this year, it was probably Arabella who might just steal the spotlight. How was she going to do? She certainly couldn't bear letting it happen. She would never allow Arabella to upstage her. "Martha, please help me. What can I do to make my parents forgive me?" Serena sent another message to Martha. After a tense wait, Martha's reply came through. It was a plan, a good one. It was exactly what Serena needed to do. The sun had barely peeked over the horizon when Arabella sat down for breakfast, ready to take on the day. As she reached to the door, Louisa called out in a rush, "Bella, do you have a busy day at work today? When will you be back?" Perhaps sensing her daughter's hesitation, Louisa quickly added, "You know, with the holidays around the corner, we used to get new outfits made for the occasion. This year, your dad and I thought it would be fun to go for matching family outfits. What do you think?" Arabella looked at her mother, then at her father Kenneth, who was practically wearing his hope on his sleeve. "You mean the whole family wearing matching outfits?" "Yes. Just imagine how cozy and loving that would look." Louisa's eyes sparkled with anticipation, while Kenneth looked eagerly at Arabella. "Your brothers always thought it was too childish and never wanted to join in, but this year could be different. If you're in, they'll surely be fighting to wear them too. I know you have a real knack for design, but let's have others handle the new clothes. You should take it easy." "That's right. We don't want you to worry about these things. Just want your opinion. What do you think about us wearing matching outfits for the new year?" Arabella finally said, "I'm fine with it." "Wonderful." Louisa's face lit up with joy. "So when will you be back?" I've arranged for a group of designers to come over. They'll take our measurements, pick out the fabrics, and offer some creative ideas on the spot. We were hoping you could be there since we'd like to prioritize your input for the family outfits. I have an end-of-year meeting. I'll try to be back by 4 p.m., Arabella replied, somewhat surprised at herself. In the past, she wouldn't have gone out of her way to explain her whereabouts. Ever since she had returned to her biological family, it seemed she had changed a lot. That's fine. Take your time, we'll schedule them for before 4 p.m. There's no rush. Louisa couldn't hide her excitement. The thought of publicly announcing her beloved daughter's identity and proudly wearing matching outfits together in a few days made her smile uncontrollably. I'd better get going then, Arabella said her goodbyes and stepped out the door. At that moment, both Kenneth and Louisa's phones buzzed with incoming messages. It was Serena. Serena had sent Louisa a heartfelt essay of a message, and then forwarded another well-prepared essay to Kenneth. Each of her messages was lengthy, reviving memories for Kenneth and Louisa, one by one. They were transported back over a decade, holding her hand as she learned to walk, playing with her and her toys. Every award she won, every commendation from her teachers, every time she stood out as exceptional, filled them with pride and contentment. Every bout of sickness, every injury, every tear shed, they felt a wrenching pang of heartache, a surge of urgency, a wave of worry. Kenneth's eyes welled with tears as he read each line. After all, 18 years of nurturing had entwined his heart and soul with hers, awakening memories of warmth and joy that now tugged at his heartstrings. Let's give her another chance, Kenneth said, his heart melting. It seems like she truly realizes her mistake. Edith was busy directing the house staff in decorating the house. New Year was around the corner, and the home was adorned with festive cheer. Seeing Serena attempting her old tricks, Edith couldn't help feeling anxious as she noticed Mr. and Mrs. Collins being swayed by Serena's act. Mr. and Mrs. Collins, you can't take Serena's words at face value, Edith blurted out, stepping forward. Do you remember Ms. Antonia, Melissa, Una, and Christine? They were Miss Serena's best friends, and they had a falling out with her last time. Louisa looked up, momentarily distracted from Serena's words, inquiring in somewhat surprise, what happened? The last time they came to visit Miss Serena, they ran into Ms. Arabella. They insulted her, calling Ms. Arabella a homewrecker. It was only when Hans interrogated them that they revealed Miss Serena had told them she broke up with Mr. Macmillan. Miss Serena claimed Mr. Macmillan, in a bid to win her back, took up with Ms. Arabella to make her jealous. What did you say? Louisa was initially moved by Serena's plea but now felt a mix of confusion and shock. Kenneth couldn't believe his ears. What kind of lies were these? How could she? Mr. Macmillan was there at the time, and he stood up for Ms. Arabella. Edith continued, relaying what she knew. Serena's friends couldn't believe she had lied to them. They were heartbroken and furious, and they cut ties with her on the spot. They told Serena that she was living the life that rightfully belonged to Ms. Arabella. Ms. Arabella was gracious enough not to demand it back and allowed Miss Serena to keep everything she had. Yet Miss Serena showed no gratitude and smeared Ms. Arabella behind her back. Louisa was impressed by the integrity of Serena's friends, living more sensitively than Serena herself. It was a shame that Serena hadn't learned from their example and had lost 4 good friends in the process. These young ladies indeed showed their breeding. After understanding the truth, they apologized to Ms. Arabella and Mr. Macmillan on the spot. After they left, Hans demanded Miss Serena apologize to Ms. Arabella, but her apology was insincere. It was clear she hadn't realized her mistake. Hans was so angry that he sent her to her room to reflect and forbade her from coming down for meals until she had thought things through. Louisa hadn't realized that Hans had already punished Serena. Mr. and Mrs. Collins, you know Hans's temper. Your sons are all afraid of him, and Miss Serena is no exception. She was punished once and pretended to make amends by making coffee for Miss Arabella, baking cakes, and serving afternoon tea as an apology. But after all this time, at Mr. Albright's birthday party, she did it again, spreading rumors about Miss Arabella in front of her friends, claiming MS. Arabella was ruining her relationship with Mr. Macmillan. What does this tell us? It shows that she hasn't learned from her mistakes. Louisa and Kenneth, hearing this, were understandably angry, feeling as though they had raised an ingrate. One would think that after being disciplined by Hans and losing her closest friends, she would have taken time to introspect. But instead, she showed no remorse for the loss of her friends, no reformation after Hans's punishment, and no lessons learned from what had happened. Instead, she repeated her behavior, once again speaking ill of Arabella to her friend. Did she think that a simple apology would quickly close the chapter on her mistakes? No wonder I haven't seen Serena's friends come by to visit her for so long. Now it all makes sense, Louisa said, finally understanding the situation. In the past, vacations for Serena were bustling with life, as her friends would flock to her place, a giggling gaggle ready for fun. They'd hit up the local diner, catch the latest flick at the cinema, or pamper themselves with a spa day. But this winter break, she found herself confined to the walls of her home. Confined for so long that she and her friends barely crossed paths. I actually thought she realized her mistake and was considering giving her another chance. But it turns out, apologies are just part of her routine. They are just empty words. Serena had sounded so sincere that Kenneth nearly fell for it. Louisa was heartbroken and disappointed, never imagining Serena could turn out this way. It was utterly disheartening. It seems we were too lenient sending her to the guest house to reflect on her actions. Louisa mused. If the homemade biscuits with milk, the handwritten letters, the colds and fevers, including the heartfelt message she had sent today, were a scheme to escape the guest house and return to the main house, then her heart must be incredibly terrifying. Louisa didn't dare to think about it, because on closer thought, she realized Serena was nothing like the person in her memories. She was becoming someone unrecognizable. When had she changed? Was it since Bella left for home, or was it when Martha started stirring the pot? Mr. and Mrs. Collins, I swear on my family's life that there is no falsehood in my words. Edith suddenly knelt down, raising her right hand to swear, you treat me like your own, and Miss Bella has always treated me with genuine respect and kindness. I can't bear to see you deceived any longer, and I can't stand to watch her bully Miss Bella like before, with such arrogance. Edith, we know all that you've done for this household, and we are aware of your loyalty. Please stand up. The floor is cold. Louisa hurried to help her up, expressing her disappointment. We had this image of her being gentle, well-mannered and graceful, but now I'm starting to see her true colors. It would be a lie to say they weren't disappointed and hurt. In the end, Louisa steeled her heart and said to Kenneth, let's not reply to her just yet. Let's see what else she tries to stir up. Kenneth too felt let down and heartbroken by Serena's actions. He had always seen her as a daughter, intent to cover for her for the rest of his life. But she was playing them for fools, bullying their own daughter, and still showing no remorse. Serena waited in her room, time dragging on until Betty arrived with lunch, revealing she had been waiting for 3 whole hours. Her parents weren't ones to sleep in, they'd rise with the sun, and by this hour, they should have been up and about, likely at lunch themselves. Even if something urgent had come up, it was unthinkable that they'd leave her hanging without so much as a punctuation mark in reply. What could be keeping Kenneth and Louisa so busy? Could it be a poor network connection that they didn't receive her message? It seemed unlikely, she had sent so many messages. It's unlikely that not a single one was received. What could be the reason? Could Arabella be there, making it awkward for them to respond? Serena, time for lunch, Betty said cheerfully as she set the lunch tray down, arranging the dishes one by one on the dining table. Serena latched onto her words like a lifeline. Where are Mom and Dad? What have they been up to all morning? Betty jumped when Serena grabbed her hand. After I brought your breakfast, I got caught up helping clear away branches. The gardener decided every tree in the estate needed pruning. Betty paused, glancing at the clock. I didn't get back to the main house until almost noon, and I saw your folks coming in from a stroll in the garden. They plopped down on the couch and started sending voice messages on WhatsApp too. Betty hesitated, afraid to continue. To who? Serena pressed, her voice tinged with urgency. Come on, spill it. No secrets. Swallowing hard, Betty confessed, they were checking in on Miss Bella, asking if she'd had lunch yet, telling her not to work too hard, and offering to have the chef make something special to be delivered right to her door. They seemed really concerned about Miss Bella. Serena felt a jolt of shock and disbelief. Did you see them sending these messages with your own eyes? Yes, I heard the ping as they sent them. Miss Bella even replied. Betty couldn't grasp why Serena's face was etched with such defeat and despondency. Serena, are you feeling better today? Did the fever go down after the medicine? It struck Serena that the only person who seemed to care about her was Betty, someone who was completely unrelated to her. A sardonic smile played on Serena's lips, a mix of bitterness and defiance. You actually saw them messaging on their phones, right? Betty was confused by the repeated question. I saw it with my own eyes. They chatted for like 20 minutes. Serena, what's wrong? What did they do after sending the messages? Serena probed further. They got caught up reading some news on their phones. I only knew because I overheard their conversation. After that, they went for lunch. Serena felt her heart growing colder. So Kenneth and Louisa had time for news and warm chats with Arabella, but couldn't spare a single punctuation mark for her own messages. The smile on Serena's face soured. She had been feverish last night when Martha suggested a plan, which seemed good at the time. Bravely, she had typed out over 2,000 words, half for Dad, half for Mom, hoping to stir some memories. She waited until this morning to send them, not wanting to disturb them. She thought maybe they were busy and hadn't seen the messages, or couldn't reply just yet. But no, they had seen them and simply chose not to respond. Serena, what's wrong? Betty asked, seeing Serena push her food around the plate. The food's getting cold, and this table doesn't have a heating function. Serena, it's better to eat while it's warm. It won't taste as good once it gets cold. Serena managed a hollow laugh, feeling utterly abandoned. In just a few days, she had gone from the beloved daughter, the jewel of the Collins family, to a forgotten wretch, like a queen fallen from grace, banished to a lonely, sunless palace, wondering when she might regain her freedom. Serena, Serena? Betty called softly again. With a heart heavy with sorrow, Serena whispered, Betty, please leave me be for a while. I need some time alone. At that moment, Serena knew what it felt like to be cast aside, forsaken by the parents who once adored her, left to wither in the shadows of the Collins family's indifference. Arabella was in the midst of wrapping up the annual year-end meeting when her phone buzzed insistently. Glancing at it, she saw a text from Miss Kiki. Summer, sweetheart, don't worry about the trending topic. I've got it handled. They should know better than to cross me, and now, not one of them is getting off scot-free. Miss Kiki, Arabella's agent, was known for her fiery disposition. It took a lot to rile her up, unless. Curiosity piqued, Arabella tapped into the news feed and sure enough, the top trending headline screamed, Summer lip sync scandal. Right beneath it was another hot topic, Summer accused of plagiarism. Miss Bennett, that concludes my report. At that moment, the head of the International Marketing Division stood rigid at the conference table, his spine icy with tension, much like a convict awaiting sentence. Arabella lifted her gaze, noting how he hardly dared to breathe. She spoke with calm authority, not bad. Proceed with the plan, but keep an eye on the budget. Thank you for your approval, Ms. Bennett. The division head exhaled in relief and took his seat. This year has been demanding for everyone. I've received several emails about certain concerns, and I'd like to address them now. Since it's the first year I took over Collins Fashion, there are questions about whether to hold the annual gala, if it's necessary, and which date it should be on. The HR head can organize an anonymous vote for all staff to decide. The executives nodded in agreement. While some employees preferred to skip the annual gala, others relished the opportunity. An anonymous vote would allow everyone to express their opinions without fear. As for the matter that's on everyone's mind, the year-end bonus, rest assured that the company won't let you down. The finance head will announce the details in a couple of days. Furthermore, regarding the holiday break, all executives immediately tensed, straightening in their seats, eager to learn if the company would offer time off, and if so, for how long, and whether it would be paid leave. The national holidays totaled 7 days off. However, since everyone has worked so hard this year, I've decided to extend the holiday. I'll give you a full 12 days of paid leave. Arabella's announcement was met with a round of applause and cheers, faces alight with joy. Such an extended paid holiday was nearly impossible in other companies. During these 12 days, each department will need to have at least 2 staff members on duty to keep the company running smoothly. The administrative head will compile a list in advance. Those willing to work overtime will be paid 5 times their normal wage. The crowd gasped. 5 times? Wasn't that a bit much? Most companies offered double, maybe triple pay for overtime. Quintuple pay was unprecedented. "I'll do the overtime," blurted the perpetually single administrative head. "I'm up for working all 12 days straight." Laughter rippled through the room, and everyone seemed to appreciate the new policy. Any other questions? Arabella's eyes swept over the group. No further questions. Nothing from me, Ms. Bennet. All clear here. Then let's call it a day, Arabella declared. As they dispersed, everyone smiled. Ever since Arabella took over the company, everyone's treatment had genuinely improved, and working conditions had become more comfortable. "Miss Bennet," groaned the manager, tossing a stack of invoices onto his cluttered desk, "it's the end of the year and a handful of companies haven't settled their accounts yet. Every time our sales reps bring it up, they get the runaround. Some say they'll pay in a few days, others claim they need time to get their finances in order, and some have just gone off the grid." Dean rubbed his temples in clear frustration. The delicate balance of maintaining good business relationships while ensuring future cooperation meant he could only ask his team to be patient, to wait a little longer. But the new year was around the corner. Some of these execs have the money, but they just don't plan on paying up. Our reps try to reach them, and they claim they're out of the country. "Catch them in the act," Ms. Bennet suggested. "Make it seem like a coincidence when they're with other partners at an event. They're less likely to refuse in front of others. Choose your words carefully, and maybe approach them during a dinner event where they can't easily avoid you. If they're deliberately withholding payment, we'll cut off their supply. If they're genuinely in a tough spot, we can settle for a partial payment. For now, every little bit counts." "And if our sales reps still can't collect the money?" Dean inquired, seeking advice. "Then it's time for the finance department to step in and audit the accounts." Once the finance department got involved and started formal auditing to confirm the amount of debt, any subsequent litigation would be straightforward. With an audit report in hand, the debtor's chances of winning a lawsuit were slim to none. Of course, that was the nuclear option, a last resort when all else failed. Let the finance folks have a talk with them first. If that doesn't work, then you let me know, Ms. Bennet concluded, glancing at her watch. "I need to head out now." Dean checked the time. It was barely 3 in the afternoon and Arabella was already leaving. But then again, Ms. Bennet was unpredictable and always on the move. Meanwhile, at another location, Louisa slammed the coffee table, fuming. These people are out of line. Saying that only lip-syncing could produce such flawless vocals? Maybe it's hard for them to reach that level, but for Bella, singing is as easy as breathing. They can't do it themselves, so they accuse others of faking it. Exactly, Kenneth agreed, visibly upset as he scrolled through the trending topics on his phone. They're even saying Bella was just mouthing the words, that the performance we heard was pre-recorded. I'll have someone cool this down. It's outrageous, the nerve of some people. Accusations of lip-syncing were bad enough, but they didn't stop there. Rumors were spreading that Bella's past songs were plagiarized, with some claiming she had copied up to 18 different tracks, an absurd assertion. "We can't just suppress this. People will say Bella's paying to have comments deleted." Louisa pondered their next move when a new headline caught her eye. David Collins steps forward to confirm. She quickly clicked on the link. Her son, David, had posted on Twitter that Summer was indeed singing live, accompanying his statement with a simple image captioned, "Case closed." His word was the strongest testimony, and public opinion began to shift in his favor. David said it, so it must be true. Summer was singing live. How could David not know about lip-syncing? What can you tell from watching on TV? David was right there during the concert. His word is final. David is the best witness. I believe David. So do I. Simultaneously, another trending topic appeared: Miss Kiki strikes back. Curious, Louisa clicked on the news, only to discover that Bella's agent, Miss Kiki, had posted dozens of screenshots from users who had accused Bella of lip-syncing and plagiarism. She had preserved each one and was now sending out legal notices, preparing to take each accuser to court. Louisa had zero tolerance for anyone slandering Summer. Summer's fans rallied to her defense, praising Miss Kiki for taking legal action, saying it was high time these gossipmongers learned that there is a price to pay for spreading rumors. Louisa started to feel relief as public opinion shifted in her daughter's favor. Serena, who had been gloating just moments ago, had even created multiple fake accounts to join in the online bashing of Summer. But in a blink, the tide turned. Summer's fans fiercely defended her, and even David's supporters joined in because Summer had shown support for their star, David. They rebuked every single person who dared to insult Summer. Serena's vitriolic comments about Summer received hundreds of replies each, all castigating her and standing up for Summer. Serena was nearly apoplectic with rage. She couldn't understand how Summer's fans could so blindly defend her. Didn't they have the slightest doubt that the flawless vocals at the concert, amidst all that noise, might have been pre-recorded? Why were they so foolish? Even if they enjoyed Summer's singing, did that justify such blind devotion? Seething with anger, Serena argued with them, but it was clear she was no match for them. They were too many, and their words too harsh. Soon, Serena felt her heart pounding with fury. It was outrageous. The things they said were just too much. They cursed her and her family in ways unspeakable. Only a star with no class would have fans with no class, spewing classless insults. After fuming for a while, Serena saw the trending topic, Miss Kiki strikes back. Only then did she realize that Miss Kiki had sued all those who had defamed Summer. Surprisingly, the formidable woman had quickly tracked down the netizens' details and sent them legal notices. To avoid her fake accounts being targeted as well, Serena reluctantly began deleting her inflammatory posts and the exchanges she had with other users. But Summer's fans didn't seem inclined to let her off the hook. They bombarded her inboxes, asking if she was feeling guilty and was scared of being sued by Miss Kiki. They also mentioned that they had taken screenshots of her posts and arguments and sent them privately to Miss Kiki. Chilled to the bone with anger, Serena thought these people were too much. Even after she had deleted her comments, they continued to harass her. After cursing them out once more, she rapidly blocked them. Due to the sheer number of people, her fingers ached from the effort, and eventually, she emptied her Twitter, refusing to receive any private messages. To save herself further aggravation, she signed out of her account. She wondered what her parents were up to at that moment. Suddenly, she remembered the telescope in the building. A gift from her dad's old friend Theodore from ages ago. She hadn't given it much thought back then, but now it seemed like a good distraction. Frantically, she rummaged through her belongings to find the telescope. Serena went out to the balcony, a pair of telescope in hand, to spy on the bustle at the main house. Right on cue, a group of people arrived dressed in formal attire, radiating a familiar professional vibe. They were probably the designers who used to come for measurements in previous years. Disappointingly, Kenneth and Louisa had invited those designers again this year. What irked her was that not one of them headed towards her building. It was as if they had completely forgotten about her, the once celebrated darling. The thought of them fitting Arabella for a dress, designing her New Year's outfit, and pairing it with stunning jewelry. Serena felt a tumult of resentment rising within her. She used to be the envy of all, outshining everyone with her grace. This year, it seemed Arabella would overshadow her. With these thoughts, her discomfort only deepened. She wondered if the designers would come to her after they were done to take her measurements. She wanted to text her parents to ask, but feared they would find out she was spying on the main house and might even confiscate her telescope. With that, she texted Martha again, voicing her concerns. "Serena, aren't you a VIP customer at several major brands? Why not reach out to them privately, check if they've got new releases, and just buy a few pieces? It's as simple as that," Martha suggested. Kenneth and Louisa would either have designers tailor outfits at home or have the latest designs delivered for their first pick, with leftovers eventually going to the market. But Serena hesitated, not keen on parting with her own money. Are you saying if my parents forget to have a New Year's dress made for me, I should just dig into my own pockets and buy one? What else can you do? You can't let that girl steal the limelight during the holidays. You have to dress up carefully. Show her that you're the one who's been raised with all the advantages, that you're more precious and have a stronger presence than her rough upbringing outside. Martha's words stirred something within Serena, but she still wavered. Won't my parents think I'm not reflecting properly here, still trying to outshine Arabella? What really bothered her was the idea of spending her own money. Why should Arabella get custom-fitted without spending a dime while she had to pay for her own dresses? Your parents care about appearances. They'll be more displeased if you show up in last year's clothes, thinking you can't present yourself properly, and that you embarrass them. If they're not commissioning something for you, what's the harm in using a little pocket money to treat yourself to a couple of new pieces? Serena saw the sense in that. Comforted by Martha's logic, she thought, maybe if I buy my own clothes, my parents might even feel a bit guilty for neglecting me, for favoring Arabella. If she has something and I don't. With that in mind, Serena decided that if Kenneth and Louisa hadn't arranged for the designers to come to her, she would reach out to the brand suppliers herself and buy the clothes with her own money. No matter what, she couldn't let Arabella outdo her. She wanted everyone to know that she, the adopted daughter, was in no way inferior to their biological daughter. In the spotlight, she would be the one to shine the brightest. Oh, by the way, Martha, did you see the news online? One moment people were bashing Arabella, the next they were all supporting her. I created a few fake accounts and ended up being scolded by them. Serena mentioned, still feeling a bit wronged. Martha quickly advised, that old Dame Kiki stepped in, so you better delete your comments right now. You can't afford to stir up trouble at this critical time. If your parents find out you were trash-talking their biological daughter with fake accounts, you might find yourself all alone on New Year. Don't even dream of setting foot back in the main house. Serena felt uncomfortable, but she managed to say, it's deleted now. Good. Be careful, especially with the holidays around the corner. You don't want to give people a stick to beat you with. Martha felt relieved upon hearing that Serena deleted her comments. You know, it's fine to vent a little in private as long as your parents don't find out, but once you put it out there, it's like handing someone a knife. They get to decide when to stab you and how to twist it. It's like a ticking time bomb. You never know when it's going to blow up in your face. I was careless, admitted Serena, realizing that Martha had thought it through. Now she regretted the whole thing. She'd only dished out a few dozen insults at Arabella, but Arabella's fans had fired back with nearly 1,000. She had wasted so much time and energy clashing with them, and it hadn't done her any good at all. Back at Reflections Villa, Edith greeted Arabella with a loving smile. Miss Bella, your timing couldn't be more perfect. The designers just arrived, and here you are. Arabella smiled back. Where are they? They've already headed inside. Kenneth, having seen his darling daughter return via the security cameras, rushed out to greet her. Louisa also came running, taking Arabella by the hand and leading her into the house. Bella, did you see the news? Those people are just sour grapes. Don't take it to heart. Kenneth quickly chimed in, exactly. They're just jealous because you sing like an angel. They can't match your talent, so they resort to spreading lies, claiming that your songs aren't original. Louisa continued, those songs are so clearly Bella's style. You can tell just by listening. Bella, I heard your agent is already taking legal action against them. If that's not enough, I can have someone teach them a lesson. One won't be enough. Those who slander my precious daughter and upset her don't get away with just one lesson, Kenneth said angrily. Don't worry about them, Arabella said with a casual smile. She never had time to bother with petty squabbles. If she got worked up over every little thing, she'd have been dead from stress by now. Besides, her agent, Miss Kiki, was already handling the situation, which had inadvertently boosted her popularity. Her old songs were once again taking the top spots across various apps. In other words, it was making her a pretty penny. Fame comes with its fair share of trouble. If your brother David got dragged through the mud, I wouldn't be this worked up, but you're different, you're my princess. Arabella couldn't help but feel a twinge of pity for David. The designers in the living room stood up to greet them at that moment. "Allow me to introduce my beloved daughter, Arabella Collins, the apple of my eye." The designer's eyes all turned to Arabella. "Miss Collins is the perfect blend of Mr. and Mrs. Collins' finest qualities. It's our great fortune to meet you. I am Rory, a designer with BT Fashion, and I'm delighted to make your acquaintance," Rory said to Arabella respectfully.
For listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.